Hello friends, welcome to this new and exciting video on basics of Power BI. So till now we have learned how to create stacked bar chart, how to create stacked column chart. Then we have in last video we have learned regarding cluster bar chart, okay, and regarding the proper formatting of cluster bar chart and what are the different options which are available for customization in cluster bar chart. Okay, now in today's video we are going to learn how to create cluster column chart. What is the difference between stacked column chart and what is the difference between stacked column chart and the cluster column chart. Okay, and we are going to learn how to format this cluster column chart so that we can visualize the data with an ease. Okay, now let us see how to create cluster column chart. Okay, so for that, first we will just select the visual clustered column chart, which is the fourth one here. Okay, then first we have to define the x-axis. Okay, now what is the difference between cluster bar chart and cluster column chart? In cluster bar chart, the bar were horizontal. Okay, but in case of cluster column chart, it will be vertical. So what I'll do, I'll just drag department on x-axis. Okay, I have dragged department on x-axis. Before that, I'll just define the size of the visual. Okay, 480 as width and 480 as height and width as 1000. Okay, so we have department on x-axis now. Now let's say on y-axis we want to show medication cost. I'll drag medication cost to y-axis. Done. This is our cluster column chart. Now see, there is a difference between stacked column chart and cluster column chart. In case of stacked column chart, okay, when we define legend, okay, it will divide the same bar into two different groups. Okay, it will divide the same bar into two different groups. For example, here the legend is gender. Okay, so what it is doing, it is dividing each and every bar into two different groups, one for male and one for female. But in case of cluster column chart, when we define legend, okay, it will create the cluster of that particular category. For example, if we drag gender to the legend, okay, it is creating the cluster of different bars like this. That. So this is the difference between stacked and cluster. Okay, in case of stacked, the same bar will get divided. Okay, but in case of cluster, there will be different bar. Okay, for each and every category. Okay, and it will be clustered together. For example, here the legend is gender. So we have two different bars for each and every category, one for male and one for female. Okay, this is done. Now, if you want to drill down this report, for example, okay, if you click on this particular bar, okay, it should show the provider name. It should show the same information, but for each and every provider. So how to do that? Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just drag provider name below department. Our drill down is done now. Now see, if you remove the legend, okay, so for each and every category, means for cardiology, for each and every department, we have 5 to 6 providers. Okay, and we have different bars for each and every provider. So you can do drill down like this. Okay, so I'll just deselect the provider name, and what I'll do, I'll use provider as a legend so that you will get to know what is the meaning of cluster. Okay, so this is the clustered column chart. Now the next thing is, okay, what is the meaning of small multiple? Okay, if I remove this legend provider name from here, okay, now let's say we want to create the same graph for each and every provider. So for that, what we can do, we can just drag provider name in small multiple and see the magic. For each and every provider name, means for Ima, Johnson, Ravi, we have different graph. Okay, so we can segregate the things very easily with the use of small multiples. Now the next option which is visible here is tooltip. So if you take your cursor on any one of the bar, it will show some of the information. For example, department is cardiology, provider name is Dr. Sade, and the total medication cost is 63102. But if you want more information here, when you take your cursor on any one of the bar, you can add those fields in tooltip. For example, let's say we want treatment cost as well. So what I'll do, I'll just drag tooltip, treatment cost on tooltip. Now, if you take your cursor, so whenever the information is shown now, there, treatment cost will also be visible. See, one more row is added, sum of treatment cost, which is 301895. So So like this, you can do the customization. Now we have learned how to create cluster column chart, but now let's learn how to format this kind of chart properly. For that, let us first decide the background of canvas. So the space where we create the visual is nothing but the canvas. Okay. So we can decide the color of the canvas from format your report page. Color, we'll put black. Right now, the black color is not visible on the background because transparency is 100%. So we'll reduce the transparency to 0%. See, black color is visible. Now it is looking very awkward that our visual background is different and canvas background is different, right? So we'll select the visual. We'll define the background for this visual from this general. Go to effect. Okay. Then by selecting color, we can define it. Okay. Now, this is not a proper formatting because fonts are not visible. Fonts are in black in color and background is also black. So because of that, these are not clearly visible. So what we'll do, we'll format this visual very carefully so that we can visualize the data easily. We'll just enable this. For example, if you want to draw the border for the visual, okay, so we can do that with the help of this particular button just by enabling this. Okay, so we'll use white color for border round. Instead of sharp corner, we'll use rounded corner and the size will be 15 pixel and we'll increase the width of the line. See, our border is drawn across the visual. Now the next formatting will be shadow. Okay, so if you want shadow for your visual, you can do with the help of this particular button. We'll enable the shadow. Okay, then we'll select the color of the shadow as white. Okay, we'll select the color of the shadow as white. See, our shadow is there on bottom and towards the right side. So you can change the position of the shadow according to the given option. Okay, and the options are here. Okay, so you can select any position, but bottom and like right looks cool. Okay, then we can define header icons, tooltips, and all. So first, let us decide the title. So the title should be the graph is for department versus total medication cost. Okay, so medication cost. Okay, so the title will be medication cost by department and provider name. Why title is not visible? Title is not visible because the font color of the title is black and background is also black, right? So we'll make font color or text color as white. Okay, we'll make it bold. We'll increase the title size to 20. Okay, and right now the position is towards the left and top. Okay, so instead of that, we'll center align the title from here. Okay, this is then our title of our chart is clearly visible. Now, what is the next formatting for the visual? So first, we'll start with y-axis. First, we'll do the formatting of y. Let us start with the x-axis. Okay, so right now, whatever the values which are present on x-axis, these are not clearly visible. Okay, so for that, what I'll do, I'll make this particular values as bold. I'll increase the font size to 15, and I'll select the color as white so that it will be clearly visible. Now, the next thing is title for x-axis. So it is not visible because again the text color is black. So I'll make it white. I'll increase the size. I'll make it bold. Similarly, same formatting we'll do on y-axis as well. Okay. So first we'll decide the range. So right now the maximum value is 70K, right? So we'll put minimum as 0, maximum as 75,000. Okay. Done. Then values on y-axis are not visible because of black color. So we'll use white color. We'll make it bold. We'll increase the font size. Then the next option is again for title. The same, change the color, increase the size, and make it bold. Then legend. Again, the position of legend is towards the left side and top. So we'll use top and center so that all the legend will be moved in the center at top position. Then the text of legend will make it bold. We'll select white color and we can increase the size. Okay, and if you don't want this provider name here, so you can just disable it. Okay, it will show only legend, but if you want title as well, you can do it like this. Then we'll draw the grid line. Okay, so right now the grid lines are in horizontal position, you can select the color of the grid line. Okay, you can decide the transparency, you can decide line style. So I'll prefer solid so that it will be clearly visible, and width of the grid line should be 2 pixels. Then you can give zoom slider option. Okay, so that you can decide the values on the axis by your own. Okay, like this. Then the next is column. Okay, so what you can do, see, for each and every provider name you can decide the color of the column. So what I'll prefer, just select one series. Okay, and according to that decide the color of the column, like this. So what I'll do, I'll select first and I'll use this gray color. Then I'll select Johnson. I'll use somewhat darker color than the previous one. Then I'll select Olu and I'll select the third one. Then I'll select fourth. As here also I'll select fourth. And then at last I'll select the last provider name and somewhat darker color. So use one series, okay? And according to that, use the color. Then if you want border for each and every bar, you can enable this option and you can decide the color of the border. Okay. And at last, right now, see, if I ask you, tell me for Dr. Ravi Patel, what is the sum of medication cost in cardiology department? Okay. So for that, you have to drag the cursor there. Okay. And then only you can tell what is the sum of the medication cost. Okay. Just by visualization you cannot tell. Okay, but what if I'll show the values there? So for that you can enable data label. So for each and every bar we have values, we can directly tell the values, but it is not visible because of the text color. So for that, make it bold and use text color as white. Okay, so now you can directly tell for Dr. Ravi in cardiology department, the sum of medication cost is 28, near about 28K, like this. And this is the proper formatting of cluster column chart. Now, what if I say, okay, what if I say you have to create one more cluster column chart, okay? For instead of department, you need to do it for provider name versus total medication cost, okay? Now tell me, will you again follow the same steps for this particular graph as well? No, right? Because if you follow the same step for creating each and every like cluster column chart, it will take more time. So instead of that, we have one option for copying the format from one visual to another visual. How to do that? With the use of format painter. What we'll do, we'll select the formatted visual, okay, like this. We'll just copy the format, okay, and we'll just paste this format on another visual like this. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, this one is the formatted visual. I'll select the visual. I'll click on format printer. I've copied the format. Now I'll paste this format on unformatted. This is done. Okay, so Power BI gives the functionality to copy the format from one visual to another visual, and this is very useful, which can save your time. So in today's video, what we have learned, okay, we have learned how to create clustered column chart. Okay, then we have learned what are the different options which are available for customizing the clustered column chart. Okay, then we have learned how what is the proper way of doing the formatting of clustered column chart. Okay, so I hope you have liked this video. If you have liked this video, please click on like button. Please share, subscribe this video, this channel, and if you have any doubts, you can post in the comment box. I'll happy to help there. And the next thing is I have given the dataset in the description box. You can load the data in your Power BI report and you can practice creating the same visual again. Thank you for joining with joining. Thank you for joining with me in this video. Thank you all. Thank you.